he's going to be looking for support from the French and German leaders on the situation vis-à-vis Russia and eastern Ukraine. But I think even more than that, he's looking for progress on Ukraine's progress towards membership of the European Union and NATO. He said in an interview with the French newspaper Le Figaro on Thursday that Ukraine is becoming tired of being the constant bridesmaid. It wants to get out of the waiting room and get into Europe, get into NATO. And so far isn't getting the sort of support that it feels it deserves from leaders like Emmanuel Macron and Angela Merkel. What sort of response will we get? Well, hard to say exactly, but it'll be sympathetic for sure. But I think what Macron and Merkel will be saying is, yes, look, we're right behind you as regards Russian aggression in eastern Ukraine. But as regards membership, that's more of the EU and NATO, that's more of a long-term thing. It's going to take some years. And first of all, it is to a degree dependent on what Ukraine itself does. It has to make real progress in areas like judicial reform. There's a lot of disappointment both within Ukraine and outside Ukraine about its failure to make enough progress in areas like that. But they will be looking to Zelensky also to fill them in on what exactly the situation is on the ground in eastern Ukraine. And he will be telling them that the level of violence has increased substantially over the last couple of months, that somewhere in the region of 30 Ukrainian soldiers have been killed so far this year, that the Russian build-up is colossal on the eastern side of the Ukrainian border. 41,000 troops, according to the Ukrainians, and a further 40,000 to the south in occupied Crimea. So he wants real support, not just words, but a real promise that things are going to move forward, that perhaps there's a need and for France and Germany to recognise that there's a need to go beyond the existing Normandy format, which includes Russia as well, for negotiating a way forward on the future of Ukraine as a whole and of eastern Ukraine in particular.
And Rob, these tensions along the Ukrainian-Russian border form part of a wider deterioration in relations between Moscow and the West that predates this current round of sabre-rattling. President Biden just a few hours ago announcing a slew of new sanctions against Russian companies and individuals, expelling Russian diplomats. Is this the start of a much tougher approach on Russia than we've seen in the past?
I think there's absolutely no question about that at all. President Biden has made categorically clear that the sort of carte blanche approach to Russia that he says he saw from the previous administration, a little bit unfair, I think. True, perhaps, as far as President Trump is concerned, but not so much the administration itself. But he's saying that is over now, that there will be penalties to pay if Russia's behaviour becomes unacceptable. And he says that in an executive order issued on Thursday that it had become unacceptable. The solar wars, cyber hacking went far too far as the United States were concerned. The behaviour of Russia towards Ukraine and eastern Ukraine, completely unacceptable. The interference in the 2020 US election, completely unacceptable. There will be penalties, he said. There will be costs for that sort of behaviour in the future. This will have come as a bit of a shock, I think, to the Russian establishment, just a day after, or a couple of days after, President Biden had proposed the idea of a summit with Vladimir Putin in a third country. The interpretation put on that inside Russia was that Biden blinked first, that he had responded to the pressure, particularly in eastern Ukraine, but elsewhere too, from Vladimir Putin, and said, OK, we need to talk. That's not how Biden sees it at all. He does want to talk, but at the same time, he's making it very clear to the Russians that there are going to be those penalties in place if Russia continues to behave, as he puts it, in an unacceptable way.